You're listening to an FTCR podcast, you boob.
Welcome back to a new Skype Sanctuary. It's me, Stefan. We've got Gareth here, and got a special patron who requested to join for this, DC Dungeon Master.
Hey! How's it going, everybody?
He paid the monies, so now he can talk about whatever he wants.
Yeah, bud. So we will drop the ball in your court. But I know before we started, you gave us a few topics you wanted to talk about, but if you want to get the ball rolling, we can talk about whatever you want to.
Let me just go ahead and try and find what I was writing, because that was, back in July, we had quite a bit of scheduling.
In true FTCR fashion, we've had to reschedule quite a few times.
And this is probably not going to be uploaded for another 2 months.
That's being generous.
Hey, so just in time for the second podcast. Let me see. Oh wow, this definitely was a bit old, because this was back when I wanted to talk about Octopath. Now Spider-Man's the game of choice.
Please do. I will happily gush about. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but I will happily gush about the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game, because it is fucking amazing,
phenomenal. It's so for the longest time, I'm a big comics fan, and obviously from my name, I'm a big DC guy, so I'm a huge nut for the Arkham games. For me, still Arkham City is one of my favorite games of all time, and with Arkham Knight, where there were some sour notes with the story, for me, I love the gameplay in there. Minus some, especially going through the story 8 times, like I did going for full save slots on New Game Plus. The Bat Tank combat definitely got a bit stale and repetitive, but I could definitely say I love the gameplay in Spider-Man. It feels like a good mix with the speed of Arkham Knight without so much of the complexity. Because that was one thing definitely about Arkham Knight, is I love the things it added, but it did add a lot. So a lot of... You don't want Arkham Knight to be your first Arkham game.
Well, why would you? It's the fourth game, it's the final game, and it's so super duper complicated. And you just if you play it, if that's the first one you chose, and you get to the beginning, and Joker's being cremated, you're just
at the same time, it doesn't really... it follows its continuity, at the same time doesn't. One of my biggest sticking points with Arkham Knight is the fact that Jason Todd had never been established at all in this continuity, and then suddenly he shows up.
Spoiler alert.
Oh.
The funniest story for me was I was playing Arkham Knight, and I was at the part where you're playing with Robin, with Tim Drake beside you, and my brother's watched me play, and he's like, wait, there's 2 Robins?
Just so I know if it's coming on my end, is he roboting on your end too, Gareth?
Yeah, so people who listen to this post-upload, Stefan's going to make complete sense. But me and DC are getting every 7th word of what Stefan's going to say.
I hate everything. I hate this.
It's we're the only 2 people in the world who will never know what he's trying to say.
I know, right? We're gonna have to listen to the podcast once it comes back online so we know what the fuck he's trying to say.
Can you hear me now?
I mean, we can hear you, whether understand you is the other issue.
Okay, I'm going to try and say this, and then hopefully it works. What I'm trying to say is that my brother was watching me play the game, and he's like, wait, I didn't know there were 2 Robins. And I said, technically there's a 3rd Robin, but he's not in this game. And then Jason Todd gets revealed, and it's there is a 3rd Robin in this game. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the fact that he shows up out of nowhere.
And dumbass me still didn't figure out that he was the Arkham Knight until he literally took off the mask.
Again, spoiler alert, I haven't played the game yet, but that's fine.
Honestly, you know what ruined it for me? I knew Troy Baker was the Arkham Knight. I did the stupid thing of playing the goddamn Red Hood story mission that I got from pre-ordering it from GameStop right before I played the game, thinking it was a prequel thing. No, and he's voiced by Troy Baker. So it's so that was an obvious oh son of a bitch, Red Hood's Arkham Knight.
A quick aside about Batman with the Robins. I think I've made this joke before, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who's ever said this before, but how stupid are the people of Gotham City that no one can put two and two together, that whenever Bruce Wayne acquires a new ward, Batman seems to get a new Robin. Like, how could no one put that shit? I mean, the glasses with Clark Kent, I'm like, whatever, most people don't really interact with both of them at once. Lois Lane does, but whatever. But, for Batman, that's an entire city being fucking stupid.
At the same time, the only one he actually properly took in was Dick, wasn't it? I don't remember him taking in Jason.
No,
probably because he was a street kid. Yeah.
He took in Dick for a little bit, but then after he went to college, he left him on his own. He took in Tim for a little bit, but then he left again. I think the only one he ever truly adopted was Damian, who's his son.
Well,
yeah. Then there's technically Dick because
technically Dick. If you go back to the old comics, he
gave him adoption papers.
Well, also it's the thing he took in Dick when he was a kid.
Yeah,
he had, depending on what version you read, I think Dick lived with Bruce for upwards of almost 10 years.
Yeah,
which
except if you go by New 52, which makes it only a year. Fucking hate that.
Yeah, but New 52. Yeah, but from what I understand, New 52 is no longer in continuity. So
yes,
fuck it,
yeah,
no, it is. New 52 is still in continuity.
It's weird. New 52 is half and half. Basically, what the DC did with Rebirth was, okay, we're rebooting this entire thing. Basically, we are keeping the stuff that you liked about New 52, Shazam, Aquaman, Harley, and we're getting rid of everything that you hated, Batman. Everything Batman related.
Wait, I thought Batman was the new 52s. Everyone loved that run.
So they liked certain aspects of it. I personally hated a good majority of it. It's mainly with a lot of the shit that they retcon.
I think most of the New 52 Batman still happened. They just don't really reference it a lot. They reference the Court of Owls, the Year Zero, the Endgame stuff.
Court of Owls was a badass arc.
Court of Owls and Endgame. Definitely. Endgame I have one issue with, and it's a big one, and it's a stupid retcon for trying to make Joker more important than he actually is. The fact that they made it so that they basically gave the implication that whatever the shit happened to him at Ace Chemicals basically turned his blood into the shit that's in Lazarus Pit.
I hated that where he died. He died in
apparently, apparently whatever happened to him in Ace Chemicals, he is now a living Lazarus Pit. It's so fucking stupid.
Was that Scott Snyder? Was that Scott Snyder's work?
I don't remember.
It was Snyder.
Snyder, I've everything of your Batman run I've loved. That is no. That is just no, man.
And
that is the equivalent of Tom. That's like Tom King. He has that one problem, and then Tom King just has his one problem. But the all rest of both books are amazing.
Yeah. The major thing I have is with the retcons of a lot of the origins. For one, I might be misremembering. I hope I'm misremembering, but I think if I remember correctly, Bruce went through every single Robin from Dick to Damian within the span of a year, between a year and 5.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it's 5. It's 5 years.
5 years, right? He went through all 4 Robins from Dick to now having Damian in 5 years.
That seems
Shaft's Nightwing's the relationship with Nightwing hard.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a thing where obviously in context of us as fans reading it takes it can be multiple decades. I get that in continuity, it can't take that long, but that just feels so short to go through 4. Say it was 2 Robins, say it was just it was just Dick and Jason. I could
five
buy
five
that being
years. Have
5
Dick
years.
for 5 years, and then once he goes into Robin, like a few months, and then he gets Damian. Yeah,
But 5 years for all four.
that means he
seems-
has like Dick for 3, Jason for 2 months, and Tim for like 2 years before getting Damian. And that's
It just again. I'm sure that change was done to have it make some kind of the firmly locked down it making some kind of internal sense in their continuity. Which again, I understand that. It just feels weird to say that in 5 years. I mean, that just means Batman's not a very good father thing. Which we all knew that to begin with. But to go through 4 kids in 5 years, stop letting this man adopt children, for the love of God.
New 52 was just weird in general because it was trying to copy stuff from the original timeline, but then also reboot it and give it new origins. So you have Batgirl who was crippled, but it starts with her being not crippled. So it's like, okay,
it's not that they retconned her or it's not that they retconned Killing Joke, because God forbid the fanboys would fucking riot. No, they added through like Metal Gear Solid style like nanomachine miracle surgery. She got her legs back.
But that isn't even the problem. The problem is that they continue, it's like basically a continuation of the story because pre-New 52, she was still crippled. So it's like, oh yeah, she's not crippled anymore, but this is a completely different universe where different stuff happened.
Because she's supposed to be how old in the New 52 series?
I don't know, I think it's still like 5 years. It's like, it's been 5 years since she started being Batgirl, I believe.
So they skipped right over Oracle. Damn.
Yeah. Well, Oracle did happen, like, because she was crippled, and she was like Oracle with the Birds of Prey during that time. They just skipped over it with her book.
Was there a New 52 Birds of Prey series?
There was, but it was like other characters, and there was the Birds of Prey Rebirth series.
And it probably lasted 2 issues. So many of the New 52 issues in the beginning lasted like 4 issues before they were cancelled.
Yeah. But going back to how they wanted to, they didn't. The biggest issue is they didn't know. They couldn't set their mindsets straight. They didn't know if they wanted to reboot everything and change shit, or keep some things but change others. My 2 biggest retcons, and for like this is what like for until they. Until it gets wiped from existence, I will always hate New 52 for this. They retconned 2 Batman villain origins, Mr. Freeze and Two-Face.
I'm so glad you didn't say Catwoman.
I don't know what they did with Catwoman.
Because originally she was a prostitute, so I was really hoping you were going to be like, man, I wish you was still a prostitute. That ruined your character for me.
No, Mr. Freeze. Holy. Do you know what they did with Freeze?
Well, again, what did they do? What was his? Because I know, like the origin everyone loves is the one from Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, with
his wife.
Sub-Zero is still like a lot. There's a big debate, like what the best Batman animated film. Always back.
Mask of the Phantasm.
I will argue Sub-Zero. I will argue Sub-Zero.
Really, my problem with Sub-Zero is it's barely a Batman movie. It's a good movie. But it feels weird calling it a Batman movie where he has maybe 10 minutes of screen time. Although the ending gets me. And I will say, the kind of follow-up to Sub-Zero that they did in the new Batman Adventures, I think it's the biggest fuck-up in the...
Wait, new Batman Adventures or Batman Beyond?
No, new Batman Adventures, when they have... Because, when they revamped all the character designs, that canonly takes place after Sub-Zero. And when they
which one was it with Freeze's head on spider legs?
Yeah,
that one. Yeah, that one. The one in New. But when they have Mr. Freeze come back and he's a villain again.
I thought that was in Batman Beyond. Then
no, there is an episode in Batman Beyond where they have Mr. Freeze again. But in the after Sub-Zero, Mr. Freeze is a villain again, and he has these kind of sexy girl psychics.
Because it turns out Nora left his sorry ass.
And I'm like, that is such a slap in the face to that character,
especially after Sub-Zero.
What they really should have done is just not have him back again.
Yeah,
Just
have
like,
a new
he
ice
just-
villain.
Well, no, you don't even need that. I mean, like, just have him stay up in the fucking South Pole or where he was. No, his wife's alive. He's happy. He's gonna stay in seclusion for the rest of his life because he knows he did evil shit. I mean, it was to save his wife, but he did evil shit. So that to me is still. Before we get to the travesty that is shit like Batman and Harley Quinn, which we don't ever speak of again, but like that is one of. I mean, like on the whole, I think the DC animated universe, one of the pound for pound, one of the best things on television.
Definitely, Marvel can have its cinema. It can have its cinema. We've got our DC's got its animated.
It's like you like in terms of really really big fuck ups they've done. You can count on one hand what they are, and at the moment, all I can think of is what they did to Mr. Freeze. I've got Batman in my basement. Let's never speak of that ever again.
Wait, what?
Oh, that is without question one of the worst episodes of a cartoon ever made.
It's hilarious.
What series? What show was this?
It's an episode of Batman the Animated Series called "I've Got Batman in My Basement," where a bunch of kids who think they're detective find a knocked out Batman. Who's trying to track down the Penguin, and it ends in a duel where the Penguin has a sword umbrella and Batman has a screwdriver. It's as fucking stupid as it sounds.
It's amazing.
Shut up, Stefan.
I was about to ask.
So stupid.
I was about to
It's
ask. Is it good
amazing.
kind of stupid?
Yeah, because you're like, how is this real?
Stefan, I will accept you liking every bad comic run out there. I will accept that. I will not accept you genuinely enjoying. I've got Batman in my basement. That is one step too far, my friend.
I mean, it's not good at all, but it's so stupid. I love it.
But okay,
Fucking
so
terrible.
you're saying New Adventures? That was New Adventures, Batman and Robin for Freeze, right?
No, it was what
I call it season. It's Batman Anime Series Season 4. That's
Season
what volume
4, yeah.
Volume
I mean,
4. That's what I call it.
Volume 4. I think its official title is the New Batman Adventures, but it's if you buy the DVD sets,
New Batman
it's for if you buy the DVD sets, it's the season that was made.
That's the one with the
made
different art
Superman.
style, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
a series they made because they did 2 episodes. They did 2 seasons of Batman the Animated Series. Then they technically did a 3rd season called the Adventures of Batman and Robin, and then they did Superman. And then Bruce Timm kind of did a design overhaul where all the characters look sleeker. And then they wanted to bring back new Batman, and then that's why they redesigned everything to make them fit in better with the Superman show.
Yeah, because that was when World's Finest happened.
Again, everyone says it, but like, fucking, that is such a better movie than Batman v Superman. It's not even funny. Like, it's not even fucking funny, man.
You want to know the sad thing with Batman v Superman? Just as a side track,
It exists.
I saw it when it came out in theaters day one. Snyder, as a director, has one thing that I always clarify. He is a phenomenal director for popcorn movies. He makes great movies that you can just turn your brain off, and you should. That's how you should be watching these. Turn your brain off and just enjoy the action. The problem with it is, especially when you go to 3-hour legendary cut for Batman v Superman, there's not enough action for it.
I would say the difference is that it's Snyder. It's not that he's like a popcorn director. He's a very, very good visual director. He's just not good with storytelling and
that would be a better way to put it. It's because this, like, I don't mind him directing. The fact that he was on the creative team, kind of, that's what bugged me. Especially since, correct me if I'm wrong, for Batman v Superman, they had like Jeff Johns and another of the DC writers on the creative team, but they went uncredited.
Jeff Johns was a producer, but I don't think he wasn't involved in like scripts until Wonder Woman.
It's because they had, I forget his name, but they had the Academy Award winning writer of Argo.
Chris Terrio.
Yes, he wrote Batman, which I'm going to assume it was Batman's. Like Snyder isn't classed as a writer, but you know for a fact he had his hands all over that.
He's
script.
credited as a story writer, so he still has involved. With
I still like. I'm glad he left. I'm not happy over the reason why. Because like when you find out why, it's depressing as hell and fuck.
It's heartbreaking.
And
it really is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
To listen to the rest of this episode and every other episode of Skype Sanctuary, please go to skypesanctuary.com or look for us on Apple Podcasts. Gordon?